So we got a $3,500 commission plus a $16,000 assignment fee for over $19,000 in commissions. So it's a little bit different way if you know how to do creative deal structure that you can generate double, if not triple, if not quadruple the amount of commission out of one deal.
You find some sellers that might do it with a suitcase full of money, but
So 364 times my 2.5% commission, about 9,100 out of the commission. And then we double closed both contracts and I made the $17,000 spread, which equaled a little over 26 grand.
Did you bring that money though to the table?
I did not bring that money to the table. So this is part 1 of 8. I assume you guys all know that, right? Did everybody sign up for the whole series, or is it just kind of a one-piece whole series? Okay. So obviously we're not covering everything today because it's a 8-part series. But today it's more about the investor savvy agent. What I like to do is kind of not open up your eyes, but challenge the traditional way of retail thinking, right? Retail is great. We'll talk about that. But there's so many more opportunities when you know how to structure creative deals. And that's kind of what I want to cover to help open up your minds to a different side of real estate that maybe you're not familiar with. So our goal with this series is to help you understand the power and lucrative gains possible from learning the investment side of real estate. Like I said, retail has its place. I love retail. I've done retail for a long time. I have, 4 or 5 retail deals right now. So retail has its place. I love it. There's great commissions in retail. But if you could learn strategies and principles that allows you to create, income on demand, would that make your life a little bit easier? Of course, right? So what if your only limit to the money you earn is the skills that you know and the amount of action you take? And so that's what this whole series is about. Understanding the possibilities, understanding the creative things you can do, and then really diving into the nitty-gritty that we'll cover over the next 8 months, I guess. Mm-hmm. So today, welcome to part 1 of 8. We're gonna talk about how to become an investor savvy agent today.
What does it even mean, right?
Yeah. So most agents are typically just retail. They don't know anything else. Their brokerages don't teach them anything else. Their realtor associations doesn't teach them anything on investing. And so I think it's something that's missing, and super excited to present all of this material to you. And so let's dive in. Any questions before we get started? And I don't want this to be like us yelling at you guys the whole time. Like talk, ask questions.
Make it interactive.
We have an hour
Absolutely.
and a half. I have probably about an hour of presentation. So if you have questions, stop us, ask. Yes, please. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello. How you doing? No problem. Yes, please. If you need me to go back for something, I can also, if you need me to email you the slides, I can email them to you. Only if you sign an NDA though.
If we want this, we want the slides, we just email or just ask.
Yeah, just give me your card. I'll email it to you. It's not a big deal. All right, so room temperature, right? So obviously this is rhetorical. Who would like to close more deals with more predictable income, right? All of us, of course. Who believes that we're in a slow market right now? Nobody? Okay.
I like that answer.
That's a good answer.
That's a great answer.
Because usually most retail agents are like, yeah, it's slow. My listings aren't selling. But in terms of investors, who looks for opportunity in the slow market? Investors, right? So who has completed an investor-friendly or a creative deal in here? Perfect. So about half of us. Does anybody work with investors on a consistent basis? Love it. Is there anybody who despises investors? Thinks they're the slime of the earth? Go ahead, be honest.
It's okay, you can say it.
Be honest. Be honest, because it's true. Most realtors are like, investors suck. I hate them. They want me to submit 50 offers and they're all crap and it's a waste of my time. And that's typically, the reaction we get from agents about working with investors. So let me tell you this, one active investor relationship has had a profound impact on my career personally. This is the investor, just so you know. So let me show you proof of concept, right? So I want to talk about working with investors, acting like investors, and then becoming an investor yourself today. We are going to really dive into, the real estate investment side of it and deal structuring and lending and underwriting and managing contractors and all that stuff throughout it. But today it's just trying to get the mindset right of why this is important and how it can change your life and career, right? So this is, can we see that? Okay. So this is 1120 Country Lane in Lutz. It was on the market for 169 days. It was listed at $599, so 600 grand. If you can see, do I have a pointer? Oh, I do. It sold at 490. Okay, so a little over 100, about 110 grand below. This is how it happened. It was terrible. I hated it. So Carlos calls me on October 1st, and he says, "Hey, the conversation was much longer than this, but he said, hey, submit an offer for 499, 100 grand less." And I'm like, oh crap. I'm like, okay. So I submitted it that same evening. Talked to the agent. I submitted a reduced commission of 1.5% because I was offering 110 grand less. So I'm like, hey, let me try to help a little bit. And so we ended up negotiating to 520, which was like the next day. So 80 grand off list price. We did a 5-day inspection and we set the closing for October 31st. So Halloween. So on day 4 of the inspection, I'm sure you remember this.
Yep.
He's like, hey, I need it at 485 to move forward. So essentially he went out there with his GC. His GC is a licensed inspector, so he has super access and all that. So he goes out there, walks the property, says, hey, I need it at 485. I said, great, let's see how we can lose this deal today. And so I go back to the negotiating table, and I think I came in at 45. They said 510. Carlos goes 490. I'm not budging. Tell him to send the cancellation. I said 490 or lose it. They took it. Again, on the market for like 170 days.
Bring something up real quick, James. Like when I asked you to submit that offer $100,000 less, or than the list price, how did you feel about that?
Well, because I know you, and I didn't hate it.
But did you feel uncomfortable?
No, I don't, just because I've been doing it.
And I'll just say that, like, for me, if the offer doesn't make me feel uncomfortable, it's not the right offer.
Ooh.
I've got to be like, especially now because I see everything's overpriced. Are they going to take $200,000 less? Are they going to take? I can talk myself out of that real easy and be like, forget it. I'm just going to move on. But in this situation, I knew it was 100K less. I had just did a reduction on the price, so pretty aggressive. But James, because he knows me, because he's been working with me, he's like, all right, Carlos might be onto something. Let me go ahead and submit it. So just want to throw that.
And it also helps to have a conversation with the agent. Like I always call the agent.
Yeah.
It's not just submitting a blind, like I'm calling, we're talking about it, and I can go in and say, hey, and I got you in a second. I can go in and say, hey, I've worked with this investor for over a decade. He closes on stuff. It's not, we're not trying to assign it or anything. He's the end buyer. But this is where his numbers are at because of this.
Yep.
And so there's a real conversation that happens to explain it. Not all of them get accepted. Some of them do. Go ahead.
So I've seen this strategy where they reach out and tell you on the day 4 inspection, like, oh, we need another like 20K off. Is that a strategy? Like I used to be a guppy, in the shark, ocean of sharks. And I was like, oh, I'm so ready for, for this house to close and everything.
So
it's not a strategy, it's a reality, because I got out to that property and I realized that it was on well and septic, and the well was blown. 15 grand. The septic needed to be done. And there was other things that I couldn't foresee by just looking at. Now, am I going out to every property before I make an offer? No. I got to the place because of my experience that based off of the pictures, I can create a scope. We're going to teach and we're going to go through some of that stuff to just be quick on making offers. But then now once I have a contract, now I'm going out there. And that's why I'm giving myself that inspection period to actually go there with my GC and my inspector and say, hey, look through everything. Because I need to know exactly what it is, because as an investor, if I don't set up those guardrails from the beginning, there's potential for me to lose money. So at that time, when I went in there, I was like, hey, these numbers where it's at, it doesn't make sense. I need to now recoup that 30,000 that I didn't anticipate for. So, hey, we've got to go in there and renegotiate. Otherwise, hey, I'm out. I'm backing out. But I try to do it fast. We went like only 3 days, right? We did it quick.
Something like that.
I'm not wasting anybody's time really if it's 3 days. I'm not waiting to the end or I don't want to waste the agent's time, the seller's expectation of saying, oh, we're so close to closing. I'm trying to do it quick. Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So
So
motivates people, right?
the other thing was the property was
Yeah.
2.75 acres, and there was a pond on it that you had to fence. Like there was stuff that he didn't see. So while
Great
a lot of
property.
people are just like, hey, we're gonna, just submit it to see, there was actual reality behind this. And so anyway, so we negotiated a 490. We ended up closing. I made $7,300. Took me 5 hours worth of work. I never even saw the property. Don't tell anybody. Okay, it was work. It was terrible. All right, so this is another one. 12734 Second Isle in Hudson. So this one on the market for 81 days, listed at 195. We got it at 165, and this was also terrible. And so Carlos tells me that he wants a property in Hudson, Florida. We were having a conversation like on a Monday night. He's like, hey, for whatever reason, he's like, I want a property in Hudson on a canal that flooded. I want to put my boat somewhere. I said, okay. So I went searching, and then we had an office meeting the next morning. I said, hey, I got one. Let's throw it up on the screen. We put it up there. I said, all right, let me call the agent. So put the agent on speakerphone, went through the whole thing. And I said, hey, where do we need to be? And he's like, you probably need to be 170. So we submitted 165 and I submitted a 3% commission. The seller didn't even counter, just accepted it. We closed 21 days later, and I made $5,000. Took me 6 hours worth of work. That one, however, I did have to drive to, so I was a little upset about it. But I did have to drive out there and do a video. I think I FaceTimed you. I don't know.
You FaceTimed me from there.
So I did have to drive out there. Okay. This is a little different one, near and dear to my heart, and we're not going to do this all day, but just to kind of show you the power of working with having a great investor relationship. So this is 6314 Sora Trace in Fishhawk, where I live. This was actually our listing. And so how this worked was Carlos calls me regarding a property that a wholesaler sent him from Arizona, somebody that lives completely out of state. Says, hey, I have this property in Fishhawk. He probably didn't even know what he had. And then so Carlos knows I live there, and he's like, hey, do you want to go look at this property? And I said, it's 3 minutes from my house. And so I went over there, walked it with the seller, did some videos. We ended up JVing on the deal, and we acquired it for $745. We did a hard money loan on that one, and our renovation was $160, and we sold it for a little over $1 million. Yep. So that one was near and dear to my heart because I was there every day. I was mowing the grass. I was doing a whole lot of stuff on that one.
But because we were able to JV on that one, and I've been working with James for 14 years now?
Yeah.
14 years. That was his first kind of foray into actually taking the leap from just being an agent to an investor with me. And look at what we did. And since then, now James is doing more stuff, but yeah.
All right, okay, so I just took a class like a week ago, right? Like core law, you have to take it for our license update. And the woman obviously is like really hyper-focused on like
How you're going to go to jail?
basically.
Yeah.
Right? So she's melodramatic. But with that said, when you say you worked here for 14 years, one of the things that always goes in my mind is that I used to work with construction back home, doing like basement finishes. But where people would come to me like 2 years after the fact and be like, oh, like there's this problem, blah, blah, blah. And so she was focusing on like, apparently in Florida, there's like a 5-year window where someone can like come and sue you. Have you ever had anyone like come to you? I'm not trying to, if you don't want to talk about it, I understand. Like,
No, that's a reality.
Anybody can sue anybody for anything.
well, that's what I mean though.
First of all.
Florida's timeline, Colorado's like 2 years, right? Florida's is like 5, like for construction defects. So it was like, when I look at that 5 years, it's like, man, so you could like theoretically work with an investor or sell a house, and then someone comes back 4 years later, it's like, oh, you didn't disclose this.
Yeah. The biggest thing that we do is disclose everything we can.
Okay.
So
I mean, and that would be the question. Do you have like a process for like?
So whenever we do a listing for a renovated house, a lot of investors will do never occupied, strike everything out.
All of it.
We don't do that.
I don't do that.
We don't do that. We check every box we possibly can. And even if it's a negative thing that we're checking, we're still checking it. It doesn't matter.
Like what's been the negative right now? Flooding, storm damage properties, right? So I have to go in and disclose that. If I'm buying them, I'm buying a lot of those, not to resell, to keep. But if I decided, like I've got one right now that I decided to resell, I have to disclose all of it. Permit everything that was wrong with that property. And yes, it was a flooded home, but it's disclosing all of it. If I try to hide it and be like, oh, I didn't know.
Plus you sleep better at night.
Of course. And it's working with an investor because you've got a lot of different investors that will hide a lot of stuff. It's making sure now that you have the understanding, is finding that investor that actually is doing things the right way. And we're going to talk about that throughout the process of this 8 months, because you can easily cut corners and there's a lot you can do to shave that budget down, but that's not the right thing to do. That's not the ethical thing to do. So that's why we've been able to avoid a lot of that.
But
for
we've still been
myself,
sued.
But we have been.
Yeah. Let's not.
Part of it.
We've been sued.
Part of it, absolutely.
And it's been thrown
Well,
out.
we've won,
You know,
right? We've won. It's been thrown out.
we have E&O insurance that defends us. As long as we have all of our T's crossed and our I's dotted. I mean, you can get, if you're just a retail agent, you can get sued. You know, it does.
Well, yeah, and that was specifically what she was talking about with the disclosure, because I've always had that in my mind, like maybe that would be the fit for me to work with investors, right? Because of my background. And that's what she said during the court law. She's like, yeah, you'll have these investors that want to tell you like, oh, I've never lived in it, so I don't know anything about it. And she's like, that's always like the
We disclose everything we know.
Over disclosed.
Because even if you haven't lived in it, he has talked to his GC who's doing the deal every single day. He's got a project manager
I know
who's there.
exactly what was wrong.
He
with
knows
that property.
exactly what's going on with the property. So even though maybe he's never stepped foot on it, doesn't mean he doesn't know. So it's, you know, it's just better to disclose as much as you possibly can, and then you don't have to worry about it, you know. And if you go to court, it's, I disclosed everything I knew. Here's all my paperwork.
Yeah.
So, all right. I guess I do have one more. So this is a lot. So tragedy continues. Carlos calls me and he says, I need a vacant
These
lot.
are all like in the last 6 months. Too.
I know they're all recent. So I need a vacant lot. He wants to, in Tampa Heights, he wants to build 4 townhomes. He actually, I think you found the lot. I didn't even find it. He finds it. He sends it to me. He's like, hey, could you do the contract? 33 grand to do the contract. I said, okay, it's 2 weeks cash. No, you know, due diligence was already done. Did the contract. That took me about 3 hours. And then I'm going to get 4
Close
pre-construction.
that in December. I got it rezoned, and we actually start construction next month. Excited about that one. 4 luxury townhomes by downtown, by Amateur Works, Amalie Arena area. Or yeah, I'm really excited about those.
Armature Works, right?
Armature
Not
Works, not
Amalie.
Amalie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Armature Works.
Yep. And then this is a different scenario. So I have an agent on my team who works solely with STR investors. He manages about 50 short-term rentals. 2025, he made multiple 6 figures in gross commission income. Currently has 10 deals under contract solely from short-term rental leads nationwide. That's all he does. All he focuses on building a short-term rental. So he does sales, which feeds his property management company, but he is busy, and Colt actually works with him, so he knows how busy he is. All right, so this is something that I want to talk about, which Carlos kind of already alluded to. You stole some of my thunder on that one.
Sorry, buddy.
But this is my 5-1 versus 1-5 method. So why do most agents hate working with investors? I don't understand it. Why only work with retail clients who buy 1 home every 5 years when you can also work with investors who potentially buy 5 to 10 homes every month? And so it is a different mentality. I know a lot of retail agents who, you know, if you're not really good at marketing in retail, you're like waiting for your next deal, waiting for your next deal. You know, is my cousin going to sell her house or this or that? You're waiting. There are some agents who are really good at marketing, and they're everywhere, and they're, you know, omnipresent, and they get all the leads. You know, we have some big mega agents around here, some by my house that I know. So they do well, but the reality is 70% of realtors didn't sell a house in 2025. So I will tell you this, and I want to put a caveat on that. I think that number is skewed. Has everybody seen that graphic from NAR? That 70, yeah. So what I think about is agents on massive teams who the team lead gets all of the sales. So all those agents aren't going to get credit for a sale that they did. And then secondly, when we do off-market stuff, which I don't know if your broker allows you, but if you do off-market stuff, that's never recorded in the MLS either. So I think it's less than 70%, but it's still a large number, right? And so some of the benefits, obviously, working with active, legitimate investors, right? You want to find legit, and we're going to talk about, I think the next one is how to vet out high volume investors. Part of that is going to be ethical, moral, you know, like you don't want to work with sleazeballs. But some of the benefits are logical. It's based off numbers. So for example, that Lutz property, 100,000 less, but it's based off numbers. It's logical. It's not emotional, right? I'm not dealing with, oh, they took that couch that they said they were going to leave. I'm not closing today. Like he knows he's going in and gutting the whole property. So it doesn't matter. As long as the thing didn't burn down or flood before we close, his guys are going in to do demo. They're ripping everything out. They're trashing stuff out. It doesn't matter, right? And so quicker closings, less hand holding, easier lead conversions. Sometimes we have to have an appraisal if we're hard money. If we're cash, don't worry about it. Inspection period, usually we do 3 to 5 days just to get eyes on it.
But I do an appraisal on everything, even if it's cash.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk about that as well.
Survey, typically not needed. And then potential for multiple closings a year, right? It's a different mentality than one buyer that buys every 5 to 7 years. So just to kind of hammer this home, one active legitimate investor relationship can absolutely change your career path and ultimately your net worth if you're willing to learn the game and work it to your advantage. So now, can we all agree that working with investors, there might be something to it? Are we okay now? Yeah? Okay. Awesome. They're not evil demons, I promise. Well, some of them are. So, but I want to challenge your thinking. What if you can become your own and your best client? What if you are your own client, right? You're out there hunting yourself. You become your own client. What if you knew creative strategies that allowed you to generate double, if not triple, income on certain deals? What if you had the knowledge and skills to hunt for deals yourself and the confidence to take them down, right? So now I want to talk about acting like an investor. And so now we're going to go through different scenarios of deals that we've done. And I'll just say I've done them all. Some of them are my agents, some of them are me. But I'm just going to say I did them all so you can understand the power of creative deal structure. All right, so full disclosure, everything we're about to discuss must be okay with your broker and known by your broker, right? So don't do anything without your broker's full support. So let's talk examples. So the assignment, who's done an assignment deal in here? One? Okay. This is 2017 North Betty Lane on market. It was listed at $225, on the market for 37 days. This is how this deal worked. Now, normal, this is my drawing. Hope everybody likes it. Normally, you'd have a buyer's agent, right? Representing the investor. You go in, you submit a 179 contract. That's what the contract was for this deal. You get a 2.5% commission, 2 or 3. It's all negotiable. It's all negotiable. 2.5%, you get $4,400, right? There's a listing agent on that side representing the seller. That's normal, right? That's what we're taught as retail. That's not how this deal worked out. How this deal worked out was our buyer's agent represented InvestCore Holdings, which is my buying entity. We did an assignable contract at 179. There was a listing agent. Typically, listing agents say, screw you, we're not doing assignable contracts. Send it, I won't even present it. However, this was flooded. It's been on the market for a long time. They're a little bit more open to creative deal structure. And since I'm not some investor going to them and giving them, well, if we do 3 months PITI and all these different scenarios, I call the agent and I have a conversation with them. We are buying it. We're going to sign it. They're okay with it. So a legit conversation happens. It's not just an email. So we contracted at 179, and then we have a list of end buyers. This one actually wasn't Carlos, but we have a list of end buyers looking for deals like this, and we assign the rights to that contract for 16 grand. Plus we get a 2% commission. So we got a $3,500 commission plus a $16,000 assignment fee for over $19,000 in commissions. So it's a little bit different way, if you know how to do creative deal structure, that you can generate double, if not triple, if not quadruple the amount of commission out of one deal. Anybody have questions on that? Go ahead.
So you didn't have an end buyer in mind when you signed the contract?
Well, I was going to buy it myself if I needed to. Yeah. So we're always, we always have the ability to take it down ourselves. But sometimes it makes more sense just to assign it and move on. Right? Okay. So when my agent contracted this and I'm the buyer. So I'm the buyer. What's that? Because I didn't want to take. I have PTSD from flooded homes, so I'm not I'll take it down if we have to close on it, then we will. But at the end of the day, I'd rather assign. If I have an investor who wants it and is willing to pay us 16 grand for it, go for it. You know what I'm saying? I know Carlos really is staying away from flooded homes right now too,
Unless they're good rentals.
Yeah. So some investors are okay with it, some aren't. It's not really in my buy box at this moment. So it was a deal though. Jumping ahead. Where am I going? Okay. So what we did for this though, just so you understand, we actually figured out the ARV, which we're gonna talk about all this in the coming months. But we figured out the after repair value of this property when it's all fixed up, what's it gonna be valued at. We did the scope of work, so we knew how much the renovation was gonna cost. And then we work our way back to see what an investor is gonna pay for this, what an investor would pay for it, right? And so if that number makes sense with our 16 grand in there, the investor doesn't care what the assignment fee is. his numbers work, he's proud of you for getting a good deal. They don't have time to find all their own deals. They need people like us to bring them deals. True?
Very true. Very true.
All right, so for more proof, here's the contract. It was 179, InvestCore Holdings, that was the seller. Here's the top of the settlement statement, contract price of 179, and then our assignment fee, they spelled it wrong. It's not InvestCore Holdings, it's InvestCore Holdings. And so that was our assignment fee. And so it was a way that we were able to generate, a lot more income out of one deal than just doing it the normal way of representing the investor, contracting in on a buyer's agent. Yes,
All right, something comes to mind. We're allowed to interact, right?
absolutely.
Of course. So this is obviously interesting. So I'm sure that I'm not the only one in here that gets just a lot of texts from people looking for off-market deals.
We're going to talk about that.
All right.
Yeah.
That's going to be in how to,
People back and ask them why don't we look for stuff that's already on the market that has a good ARV, and they're just like, no, we just want off market.
yeah, some just want off market.
So far, not off market. None of them are off market.
I have some off market, but
You
yes.
may have, but I'm saying what you showed us so far have all been listings that are on MLS, right?
So a big part of this is, and we're going to talk about, I think it's next week, how to go through your high volume investors, but there's a very specific way to vet out investors to understand who you're dealing with. Like every text I get, I try, I'm not the best, but I try to get back to them and have a conversation with, hey, do you have any deals or any listings coming? Like I get 3 of them a day, 5 of them a day, just like you do. And so I try my best to have real conversations with those people because I want to find out if they're a wholesaler or an end buyer. Every time they're going to tell you that they're both, they're lying. Well, I shouldn't say they're lying. They're because you do both. So there are some
it
that
really
do
just
both.
depends though.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the most part, they're wholesalers. They're just looking for off-market stuff.
Yeah. So, but there's a vetting process to talk to those people because some of them might be legit end buyers. For example, Tracy's dealing with somebody right now who sent her a pre-approval letter from Capital Growth LLC. We looked up the address. It's like some apartment building in Miami. The URL is not even active. So I'm like, don't deal with them. This.
Bogus.
And then he ends up sending her a settlement statement that he closed on a property yesterday with his company, title company here in Pinellas. So he's like, no, I'm legit. His pre-approval letter might be bogus, but apparently he's legit. So now she's going to call the title company, just verify that he's a real buyer. And so you have to go through those vetting out these people to see who they are. And wholesalers aren't terrible either, because if you have an end buyer, and a wholesaler has a deal, you could potentially JV with that wholesaler to sell that deal to an investor
Or a listing.
The wholesaler is doing the assignment. Yes. Yeah. So wholesalers aren't terrible people because they're out there hunting for deals. Like having a good list of wholesalers is also awesome if you have a good list of end buyers, because you could be the person in the middle connecting the deals and scraping a portion.
And to clarify, there's different acquisition strategies. As an investor, I will look at off market, but I also really do like hunting for deals on the MLS because of the kind of market that we're in right now. If we're in a hyper market and everything's selling 20,000 over like it was right after COVID, right? You couldn't get into 40 offers on a property. Of course not. That's not going to make sense. Then I only want to buy off market. But because of the strategy right now, where there's pain, there's a lot of properties that are going listing over 100 days. There's opportunity.
So as far as your wholesaling, I noticed a lot of these wholesalers are requiring a crazy deposit where they weren't doing that before. So
They just want to make sure you're real.
right.
Because if you want the deal and you're going to buy it cash, you're not going to blink at putting $20,000 down. I don't. I've sent 50% before because I wanted my deal for the terms to be, how I want it. Hey, listen, you're going to agree to this price for me. You're going to go back to your seller and renegotiate it and get it to my number. Dude, let's make it really juicy for them. Let me wire 50% to the title company because I'm real. And that seller probably feels like, well, if they're going to do that, man, I'm going to say yes to that because they think I'm going to close. But there are a lot of people out there. You put $1,000 EMD, you get to the end, it wasn't a good deal. It's easier to walk away from 1,000 than it is 10,000 or 20,000.
You're getting your appraisal within that inspection period.
I am. I just have a local appraiser that I work with who's quick. And again, that's just building a good external team, which we'll talk about as well.
But not always. Not always.
Not always. If
Sometimes
it's
it will happen after the inspection period, and sometimes he's had to walk the story about the square footage being wrong.
Yeah, that's why I get appraisals. I had a property listed on the MLS, 400 square feet smaller.
When it
Appraiser
appraised,
went out there,
it was
went
400
and
square feet than
verified
it was
all of
listed
it.
at.
That's why I do it. And then he comes back to me. I was like, that was like $150,000 change in value in that area in Carrollwood. Well, I came back, they wouldn't negotiate or renegotiate. So I had to cancel the deal. But because I threatened them a little bit, they gave me back my EMD, even though I was after my inspection period. Because they were, I mean, that was just, you can't do that. Now you have to redisclose and do all these different things. So.
But also, also, you know, if the wholesaler has EMD in the game also, like say that they contracted on it and they had to put up $5,000, and then when they're going to assign it, they want $10,000, because if you default and they lose their 5, they still want to make 5.
They still made 5. Yeah.
So sometimes that's the case also. All right, so moving on, double close. Anybody done a double closing? So assignment, double closing, you've done them all. All right, so this is a property in Valrico. It was listed at 375. It was a probate attorney actually that was working. I worked in the office with him, and he comes to me. He's like, "Hey, you know, we have this property. Why don't you take a look at it, etc." And so I ended up contracting on it personally at 364. This one actually, Carlos came out and helped me scope. Remember that?
Yep.
Yeah. And then I got cold feet about rehabbing it, so I decided to double close it. Right. And so this is how this one worked. So normally, again, you would be the buyer's agent. You would have an investor. Your investor would contract on this property at 364. There's a listing agent involved plus a probate attorney, which I forgot to draw. And normally you get a 2.5% commission, which is $9,100. Not a bad day, right? That's not how we did this deal though. What we did was the agent investor was me. I contracted on it at 364, the A to B contract with the listing agent and the probate attorney. So he showed up here, not on the last one. And then so this is a probate deal. There was 21 heirs involved in this probate deal. It took 9 months, which is probably why I'm like, you know what? It just took forever. They needed extension. I actually didn't have the commission built into this deal in the beginning, and they extended so many times that I said, hey, we got to put a commission in. And they said, no problem. So we got 2.5% in there. And so at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I don't want it. The market was kind of softening. I was getting nervous. I didn't want it. Called an investor. Not Carlos. Unfortunately, you should have bought that one. So had an investor come out, met me there one time. He's like, yep, I want it. He showed me his proof of funds. He pulled up his bank account. He's like, here, I got $800,000 in his bank account or whatever. And he's like, I'm good to go. So I signed it to him for 381, I'm sorry, I didn't assign it. So we put a contract together for 381, a B2C contract, and it was net to seller. So he was paying all of my closing costs, right? And so we ended up getting to closing. So 364 times my 2.5% commission, I got the $9,100 out of the commission. And then we double closed both contracts, and I made the $17,000 spread, which equaled a little over $26,000.
Did you bring that money though to the table?
I did not bring that money to the table. I found it off market. So I was doing Google PPC ad campaign, cash offers. You know, do you need a cash offer? This lady reached out to me. I went out there. Again, the broker in me was like, hey, I can get you more if I list it, because obviously we want to do what's best for our people. And she goes, I don't want to list it. My husband's got cancer. I don't want showings. I don't want to deal with it. Give me an offer. I said, okay. So we actually offered like 170, ended up becoming 166.5. I bought it at the end of August last year. I used a hard money loan. It's a $50,000 renovation. A bidding war took place, which is fantastic. After so many days on the market, like I listed it around the worst time. I don't recommend listing a property in November, December that you flipped. I ended up taking it off the market, listing it in January, relisting it in January, and then within a couple of weeks, we had a bidding war that ramped it up and went $15,000 over list price, which was fantastic. Fabian actually sold that deal. Fabian, who snuck in the back corner, sold that deal for me. Sold it from an open house. So if you think open houses don't work, he was holding an open house on it, and he got the buyer from it, and he represented the buyer on it. So, becoming an investor. Man, that's a little note. So, Carlos, you've never been a licensed agent,
No.
right? You have a different perspective than probably all of us. Can you speak on how becoming like an investor has impacted your life and why you think it's important for agents to understand the investment, the creative side of real estate?
I mean, at the end of the day, for me, it's been to take care of my family, right? And to have freedom. If you guys got into real estate and as an agent, it's to have freedom, right? To be able to manage your own schedule, do things different. We're not tied to a desk. We're not 9 to 5. We're not, punching in and punching out. Back in 2008, I lost everything. Before 2008, I was a mortgage broker. You guys remember 2008? It was devastating. Lost all my properties, all of it. In 2009, I shut that mortgage business down and I said, I'm going back to corporate because that's where I started off in finance, or I'm going to choose something different. And I was blessed that I had some buddies of mine that were like, dude, it is going to get good right now. I'm like, what are you talking about? I just lost everything. Right now is going to be the time to come in and buy. Had a daughter on the way. Man, I was like, how am I going to do this? They're offering me an internship for a year. I said, okay, I'm gonna risk it because I am not going back to that corporate 9 to 5. I just refused to do it. Best decision I ever made. Started wholesaling with this company, interned, made money, and then in 2010 flipped my first property and I was hooked. Bought it for $55,000, put 30 into it, sold it for $129,000. Now what kills me is that was in South Tampa, and that same house sold for $700 now. I should have held it, but I needed money. So I had that $30,000 that I made. Man, I was ecstatic. Like, I want to keep doing this. And from there, I continued to grow my business and learn and get, evolve into different things. But the reason I did it, James, was because I wanted to be there at the soccer games. I wanted to be there at the school events. I wanted financial freedom. And then I wanted the resources to be able to utilize, not just for myself or the fancy car and the nice house, but from my perspective, I wanted the financial resources to help others. And that's what we've been able to do. So everybody's got different motivations. I don't know what your motivation is in the room. Those are my motivations. And that's why when I saw that opportunity to say, man, I knew the mortgage side of it, but I never really thought, and I owned real estate that I just lost. I never saw the opportunities. And so until I refocused and said, okay, well, I'm going to take the leap and I'm going to try this. And boy, has it paid off.
Thank you, Carlos.
Yeah.
Any questions for us? I think. Yeah.
Would you discourage a husband and wife from going into this as a business just because?
How much do you love them?
Well, just thinking, my husband's about to retire from the army.
Yeah. Thank you for your service.
Yes.
Thank you. I want to, go into investing, and I know he has the skills to kind of manage and everything.
Absolutely.
But with the way the market is it dangerous? Is it too risky to completely give up his income or his potential to have a more sturdy income?
Yeah, I would say depending on the strategy, right? You've got to create the strategy first and see where you're at with your resources, and what you could afford to not make for a certain amount of time. My wife worked for the business. I retired her out of corporate 4 years ago, and now she's full time with our business. And we love it. I mean, it can be a little stressful at first, working with your spouse every day, but we were able to figure it out. And she's part-time. She comes into the office only a little bit, but she handles a lot of the other stuff that I don't like to do, the administrative, the accounting, and some of those things. It is a blessing. I love it. And I definitely encourage it because, especially if you're both bringing something different, you understand real estate, the listing side of it. If he can understand the construction, now you marry those two together, that's a powerhouse team. It makes a lot of sense, and we educate a lot of couples, right? That's the majority of the people that come to our academy are husband and wife because they're looking. But what I would say is as you start out, maybe for the first year, keep that job. Get your feet wet. Understand, hey, maybe we've done one or two. You might do a little bit more at the beginning because he might be working still, right? But once you figure out this is exactly what we want to do, because I've also seen it where people are like, it's that shiny object. Everybody wants to flip and be in real estate. And then they do it. And then it's like, oh, this is the worst. I can't handle the stress. I can't handle the contractors. I can't, right? And then like, "Ugh, this is not what I want to do. And then we quit our jobs and right. Then things can get, and I definitely would never encourage you to invest everything that you have, because I've seen that too. I've seen folks come out of the military with good retirement. They pull stuff out. They didn't do it the right way, and now they're jeopardizing even their homes, their existing. I mean, it can get really, really bad. But as long as you can have the right education and understand your specific strategy, your specific situation, and be, as best as possible to project what it might be, then yes, I think it's a great thing to do it as a couple, for sure, for sure.
What would the strategy be? To buy and hold, or to flip, or
I feel like there's more income potential in flipping, but I like holding in the long term.
It's both, right? Because we encourage buy one, or flip one, hold one, flip one, hold one. Because if you're buying them right, then you're able to refinance out of those properties when they're done. You're now underwriting for multiple exits, so you know the income's going to be there. That could be a cash flowing asset, even if it's leveraged after you're done, and you get all your capital back to reinvest again. You're not tying up a whole bunch of money. So yeah.
have you ever heard of the Burr method?
Is it still possible right now?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's even more possible now than I think even a couple of years ago, because the rents are still there. They haven't really dropped much. They have, but the pricing that you're able to get in the certain areas, and it's just, again, really intentional with what area are you going to invest in? Where are you going to be?
But also when we do our underwriting class, that's a big part of what we do, is making sure we have multiple exits. Does the flip numbers work? But then also, if we can't sell it on the flip side, can we burr out of it?
Right.
And if it meets both, and it's in the area that we want and stuff, it makes sense. But if you can't burr out of it, it's like the flip that I just did. I got a little nervous because I couldn't burr out of it. I was going to trap about 30,000 into it, and I didn't want it. I didn't want to, and it ended up selling, thank God. But yeah, I mean, as long as your underwriting is accurate, you should have no worries to pull the trigger on the deal.
Mm.
I actually have two questions. One is, I saw one of your deals was condos, but are you staying away from this now? Because it's so high. And my second question is, as an investor, obviously you can get hard money loans. Is there a certain amount of money cash that you say you really need to have before you start?
Yeah, I'm a private money lender also, right? We have a private money lending division of our business. And yes, you need some startup capital. Unless you plan on just wholesaling to make money and flip contracts like James was talking about and increase your commissions, that's great. But I mean, you think about a $300,000 acquisition that needs $50,000 in renovation, you can get a loan right now with, if you're a first time investor, 20% down on that purchase price, about $60,000, and 100% of the renovations. So that's 60 plus closing costs, plus having 4 or 5 months of payments. So maybe you need 85. Again, these are just rough numbers. Just to give you an idea, you might need 85,000. But the way I look at it is, if I'm going to invest 85, if I'm able to make at least 50% cash on cash return, then it's a good deal. So if that 85 is going to net me 40, I get my 85 back plus 40. Now what do I have? 120. And then just keep going that way to build that capital up. And then eventually you might not need hard money. You can go in and buy them, fix it, sell it, leverage it, whatever the strategy is. So yeah. And then condos, yes, it really depends on the condo. I stay away from them, yes, because the HOAs are high. The rents aren't really so that competitive on those. But flipping condos, still good, because there's a lot of older folks that are still moving to the area that prefer the condo, especially by the beach, on the water. Like, there's still really good opportunities in the condos to flip. 55 plus, I like.
Make sure all your reports are done. Milestone,
Correct. A lot of due diligence.
turnkey, what are the three, whatever there are. If it's above 3 stories or more, you need all those reports. Yeah. Any other questions?
So you'll buy condos now, and isn't there like an 18-month inventory, or is that not?
What do you mean?
Well, like just so many condos for sale.
Oh,
Yeah,
Like,
but
you'll still
too
buy
much
it.
saturation.
most of them are distressed, though. Have you seen it?
Oh, so yes.
The beautiful ones,
Firsthand, yeah.
they go like that.
And you do 55 plus, even though it limits you.
Love 55 plus, because those are the ones that are moving.
Yeah.
Snowbirds and still people. I mean, there's still that. It's but it's analyzing, right? So if I'm going into, let's say, Bayway Isles down by St. Pete, South St. Pete, going down there, I'm going to look at the area, what condos have sold, just still doing my due diligence and seeing in the last 6 months, what has it been, and really diving into the demographics of who's buying there. So if it is 55 plus, what are selling in that building? What are selling in some of the comparable buildings? So really just dialing that in and then applying my investment strategy to that specific thing. But then also having an exit. If with that HOA, if I had to get a loan on it to try to recoup, does it still make sense for me to buy? Even if I break even or lose $100 a month, whatever it may be, I still look at that just in case it doesn't move.
Lending on condos is a nightmare.
It is.
Oh, I know.
And most of the condos that we sell are going cash.
And when we did the novation, it was cash only. Like,
Yeah.
because it can get tricky when you have a contract for your buyer who has a lender who the seller is not really the seller on the title, right?
Yeah.
And so
Cash only. Yeah.
cash only on novations, you know, and you can structure them different ways, but typically novation, you try to get cash buyers.
Yeah.
Because it's just so much easier. We good? Who's coming back for session 2? Yeah, let's go.
Awesome. Next one's in Tampa though, right?
Yep, Tampa. So May 12th, it's a Tuesday. In case I say the date wrong, it's always a Tuesday. I believe it's the May 12th, 1:30 to 3. And then we're going to talk about how to vet out high volume investors, but we're going to talk about specific scripts. We're going to talk about due diligence with investors, right? Ultimately, if you're working with investors, we should have, you know, you can't have Carlos, I'm sorry, but you should have 5 to 10.
Talk to me on the side.
You should have 5 to 10 solid investors that you work for, because while you might find a good deal and it might not hit Carlos's numbers, it might hit somebody else's numbers, right? So you should have a good 5, 10, 15
Keeping track of all of it too.
legit investors.
Yeah, we're gonna talk having a good CRM. How many of you guys use a CRM right now? Your own or your brokers? Get your own. We're gonna show you how to do that as well, because you want to keep track of all that stuff as well. We are going to get into that as well. What week is that?
Number 3, week 3, finding and analyzing deals that investors want.
Yeah, we had to just space this out, obviously, and it's going to be 8 months. But we hope to cover, at least from my end, add as much value as I can with all of those different sections of how we're doing the acquisitions, how we're creating scopes, how we're doing creative deals, and things like that.
It's on Kennedy. That's a good question. That's the only one that I've ever been to.
Is it on Kennedy?
Yeah.
You know the address.
Let's look it up.
2918 West Kennedy Boulevard.
Thank you.
Okay, so I guess maybe the newest guy here. Anyone has an advice for me? I just really started.
Oh, me too. I haven't done it. Brandon.
All right. Welcome. Good job. Great job getting your licenses. I guess from my perspective, it's understanding what you want to focus on, what niche you want to be in. If you want to be in retail, then find some mentors in retail, maybe join a team, understand, or, a brokerage that teaches retail. If you want to get on the investment side, find a brokerage that teaches invest. Most brokerages don't do both.
Yeah. It's one or the other.
So depending on really what I would say, have a very clear vision of what you want your business to look like in terms of how much money you want to make, etc. And then I actually did if you want, leave your card. I did a training for my internal team about tracking your KPIs and really reverse engineering how many conversations you have, to how many contracts you get, to how many closings you get, to how much commission you earn, and understanding your KPIs that you track to make sure that you're reverse engineering the amount of money you want to make. And so I would just really understand what you want your business to look like. I mean, if you want to get into investing or the creative side of it, then make sure that you're surrounded by people that do that. If you want retail, surround yourself there. KW is great for retail. Some of their universities or something like that.
Mm-hmm. A lot of education that they offer.
Yeah, but nothing can replace conversations. I promise you. If you do nothing else, have 10 meaningful conversations a day with people that may do business with you at some point.
One thing as well, we have a Magnolia
Oh, yes.
meetup that is the last Wednesday of every month at the West Shore Grand from 5:30 to 8. That is a bunch of investors, a bunch of different agents, lenders. I mean, there's all kinds of people in there in the room. And we've been doing this. I've been a sponsor with Ben, who is a Army veteran for 26 years. He started this 3 years ago. I've been part of it for 2 years. I'm one of the sponsors. We actually did our first 2-day event teaching investors in October of last year. We have our next one coming up in October. But that is just a great way to get out there and meet people, see what other agents are doing, see what other investors are doing, and just to meet people. So that is that would be the 29th this month. The 29th this month. And it's the last month or the last Wednesday of every month.
So-
West Shore Grand. So it's like Kennedy and West Shore over in Tampa. It's called the West Shore Grand. And if you leave your information with James, we can send that out to you as well.
Yeah, it's a Magnolia Property Solutions is the company. And so if you search up him on Facebook, you'll find his page, but then they always do
Ben Smith.
There's an
He's
event.
the one that puts it on, and yeah, just a really, really good dude, and helps a lot of veterans out as well, transition out of the military, and just a great thing. I thought, I really enjoyed what he was doing a couple of years ago, so I've teamed up with him to help him grow that and to do these 2-day events as well. So it's really cool.
They do one last thing, and then I both you. They do charge $20 for the event, but you get beer and wine in the networking room as a part of it. So just so you know. Go ahead. Whoever.
Can these series be on Zoom or are they all in person?
I recorded this whole thing.
Okay, so if you sign up for the whole series, you can't do this one.
I can send it to you. Yeah. It's like the board has put this on for us, but they pretty much just gave us the room and said, go for it. So,
Yeah.
but
I mean, if you
I'm
can make
recording
it,
all of them.
it's probably better in person. I feel I learn better in person than I do via Zoom, but yeah.
But yeah, I'll be recording all of them.
Yes, as a real estate, let's say that you have a foreign investor who is not a Florida resident, or if you're talking to him and explaining what are the key points, why he should invest in Florida.
Talking to an investor from outside of the state.
Outside of the
understand.
country.
Oh, the country. Well, for that, I mean, you really have to go after demographics and median income and growth, job growth, and like there has to be a lot of key metrics that you're pulling to show that Tampa is a great area to invest in. Like that's most of the people in the country want to invest in Tampa. Like I have a short-term rental agent who kills it because everybody wants to invest in the free state of Florida. And we're
Well,
all
what I would, and on that though, what I would recommend for you though, because I do deal with a lot of out of the country investors, and make sure they can even invest here first. Do they have the ability? Do they have an existing established business? Do they have a visa? There's a lot of restrictions that come along with us right now, especially with everything going on of money coming in.
Yes, but there is that kind of loan, they, I don't know, I think it's SDR loan.
STR, short-term rental loan. So
Yeah.
STR is maybe a DSCR.
Or DSCR,
DSCR.
yeah.
Rental properties, they don't have to, I mean, they don't need to present even the documents, their financing.
It's based off the property. Yeah.
Then we can do 30%.
And that's not a problem for the financing, but even just to be able to open up a bank account here, though. That's what I'm
Yes,
saying.
you have to create like an LLC.
Correct. Yes. Just verifying that before you go and do a lot of other things beforehand is what I would recommend as some advice. Before you start to do all of these things and, see proof of funds and all of those things, make sure they have that established business here. They have an established bank account, because you can go and do all that, find them the right deals, close them on why it's good to invest here, but then they can't.
Okay, and if they want to buy with cash, do they still need that, LLC, for example?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. And they have to open up a bank account.
Yeah.
You'll find some sellers that might do it with a suitcase full of money, but that happened. You just deed it over.
All right. Well, thanks guys for coming out.
Thank you guys.
Hopefully you got some good information, and then we'll see you hopefully next month.
Yep.